Ever wonder how those plastic bottles you toss in the recycling bin actually get made?
Yeah.
Well, get ready to meet the folks behind the scenes blow molding machine operators. We've got a stack of research here from RoleCatcher, and let me tell you, it's way more interesting than it sounds at first.
Yeah, I bet. It's one of those jobs, right? Kind of like invisible but essential.
Exactly. Ready to dive in.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So, first things first, what does a blow molding machine operator actually do all day? We're picturing like a giant hot plastic mess, right?
Well, you're not wrong about the hot plastic part, but think of it more like this. They're like the conductors of a plastic orchestra,
Okay.
taking these huge machines and turning raw materials into those everyday things we totally take for granted.
It's got to be more than just pressing go, right?
Oh yeah, way more. They're controlling everything. Temperature, which is crucial. Like imagine baking a cake, but with molten plastic too hot, and it's a gooey mess, too cold, and it won't set right.
Oh, wow.
And air pressure, that's what actually inflates the plastic into the mold, like a super precise balloon animal.
I never thought about it like that.
Then they've got to trim it, inspect it, even grind down the excess plastic for recycling. It's a lot more hands-on than people realize.
So they're part of the sustainability effort, too. That's pretty cool. What's the work environment like? I imagine things get pretty intense on a factory floor.
You're not wrong. It's fast-paced, for sure. And yeah, it can get hot. Think of it like, all these machines humming, operators moving between stations, like a well-oiled machine itself.
I get it, I get it.
Troubleshooting on the fly. Teamwork is key to keep everything running smoothly. It's definitely not for everyone, but it can be really rewarding if you like seeing, the results of your work right there in front of you.
Right, seeing it all come together. So that fast-paced environment, while exciting, has got to come with its own like pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things someone considering this career path should be aware of? Good and bad.
Right. So on the plus side, this isn't a career that's going anywhere. The need for plastic goods, it's not going away anytime soon, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So job stability is a big one. And there are opportunities for growth. You could become a senior operator, maybe even lead a team, specialize in a certain type of molding, that kind of thing.
So there's room to move up, but what about the downsides?
Well, like you said, it's fast-paced, and that means it can be demanding physically. You're on your feet a lot, potentially moving heavy stuff.
Right.
Plus, there are inherent risks,
Yeah.
obviously, working around machinery and hot, molten plastic,
Yeah, safety first.
big time. And then there's shift work, which often comes with the territory and manufacturing nights, weekends, you name it.
So you need to be flexible.
Exactly.
So it's not just about having the skills, but also the right mindset. Like, what are the must-have skills to really make it in this field?
So first and foremost, you got to understand how those machines work, obviously.
Makes sense.
And RoleCatcher actually has some really good resources on their website about that, like what kind of vocational training or apprenticeships can get you that foundation.
Oh, that's handy.
But beyond just the technical stuff, you need to be a problem solver, like by nature.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so imagine this, a bottle comes out all wonky, right? Is it the air pressure?
Right.
The mold itself? Or the consistency of the plastic? It's like, detective work, but for manufacturing.
I like that.
Yeah, so that ability to think on your feet, troubleshoot, solve problems, it's essential. And of course, you got to be a team player. You're all working towards a common goal in this kind of environment.
Okay, so you've got the skills, you're not afraid of some hard work, you're all about that team spirit. What's next? What does moving up in this field even look like?
So, like we were saying, there's definitely room to grow. You can become a senior operator, which a lot of times means leading a team, handling those, really complex problems, maybe even training new hires.
Right, sharing that expertise.
Exactly. Some folks transition into quality control where having that detail-oriented mind is key, making sure every single product meets the standard, no exceptions.
Makes sense.
Others move into maintenance. Those are the ones who become like the machine whisperers.
The ones who really know the ins and outs of it all.
Totally. And you
Really?
can't forget about the industry itself. It's always changing, right? Companies are always trying to find ways to be more sustainable, more efficient.
Which, speaking of sustainability, that's more than just like tossing the plastic into the recycling bin when we're done with it, isn't it? What's the blow molding machine operator's role in all of that?
They're a huge part of it. They're the ones making sure the right amount of plastic is being used, minimizing waste from the get-go, making sure any leftover plastic is recycled properly. They might even work with those new bioplastics, which are a game changer for packaging and the environment.
It's like they're not just creating these everyday objects, they're doing it with the future in mind.
Exactly. And as technology keeps evolving, they'll be right there on the front lines, figuring out how to use 3D printing in the process, pushing the limits of what we even thought possible with plastic manufacturing.
It really makes you think about how much goes into something we usually just take for granted.
Totally. But speaking of behind the scenes, let's talk about actually landing one of these jobs. You mentioned RoleCatcher earlier. What makes them different from all the other job hunting websites?
Right. It's not just about finding a job listing, it's about standing out from the crowd. What really struck me about RoleCatcher was their approach to resumes. It's not just about listing what you've done, it's about using the right words. They actually look at job descriptions and find those keywords that'll make your application pop for potential employers.
It's like having a secret code to get past those hiring algorithms.
Exactly. And their interview question database is seriously clutch. Imagine walking into an interview feeling totally prepped, knowing how to talk about your skills in a way that lands with the hiring manager.
Oh, I could see how that would be a game changer.
Totally. And get this, they even have these AI tools that listen to your practice answers and give you feedback, like having a personal coach right there on your phone.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Right. I thought so. Sounds like RoleCatcher's got your back no matter where you are in your career.
Definitely.
It's not just about getting that first job, it's about navigating those career changes, figuring out what skills you need to level up, staying ahead of the game, especially in a field that changes so fast.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the technical skills and the tools, but what about those less concrete things? What soft skills do you think someone needs to really thrive as a blow molding machine operator?
You mean those personality traits, those interpersonal skills that don't always make it onto the resume, but that can make a huge difference?
Yes, like a strong work ethic, that's essential.
Yeah.
We're talking fast-paced, tight deadlines,
Hmm.
right? You need that reliability, punctuality, the willingness to go the extra mile. All of that speaks volumes.
It's that dedication that really shines through.
For sure. And then there's problem solving. Machines break, things go wrong. You need to be able to think on your feet, troubleshoot on the fly, both independently and as part of a team.
It's kind of like you can give someone the best paintbrush in the world, but if they don't know how to actually paint.
Exactly. It's not going to do much good.
Right. And in this field, communication, that's another one that's huge, right? Being able to explain what's going wrong to your team, sharing ideas, listening, actually collaborating, that's gold in any manufacturing job.
Oh, for sure.
It kind of makes you think about those classic interview questions differently. It's not just about saying, oh, yeah, I'm a hard worker. It's about actually showing how those soft skills played out in real life.
Right. Give me an example of a time you had to overcome a challenge on a team, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's where those stories come in handy. And that reminds me, going back to RoleCatcher, their AI tools, the ones that help you practice for interviews, those could be really useful for this kind of thing.
Oh, but cool.
Helping you dig into those past experiences. Not just saying what you did, but how you use those soft skills to actually get stuff done.
Yeah, showcasing those strengths without even, directly saying it.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, what blow molding machine operators do, the skills they need, and even some resources to help them succeed. But before we wrap up, I always like to leave our listeners with something to think about, maybe something they haven't really considered before. So what about the future of this whole industry? What do you think?
Well, like we've been saying, manufacturing is changing so fast. We talked about automation and how that's changing the skills people need. But the real question is, how do we roll with those punches? How do we adapt? I think the blow molding machine operator of the future, they're going to need that mix of traditional skills and the willingness to learn new tech, new systems. They might even be programming or fixing those automated systems, blurring the line between operator and tech innovator.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's not just about keeping up with the machines, it's about anticipating where things are headed.
Exactly.
That's a really good point. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up this deep dive. We've gone from understanding those massive machines to picturing the future of plastic manufacturing as a whole.
It's been a journey.
It really has. Hopefully our listeners are walking away with a better understanding of this career path, one that's often overlooked, but so crucial to how our world works. It's got its tough sides, but there's so much potential for growth, innovation.
Absolutely.
And hey, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, remember, resources like RoleCatcher are out there to help you along the way.
For sure.
So until next time, keep those brains buzzing, keep asking those questions, and never be afraid to dive into the world of manufacturing. We'll catch you on our next deep dive.
See you then.